one city is actually taking steps to do just that. The Seattle City Council is scheduled to vote on Monday whether or not to actually defund the Seattle police, folks. Despite having no specific plan in place or any type of responsibility, a pro-police rally is being organized for this Sunday ahead of the vote. Joining us now is Washington gubernatorial candidate and chief of police of Republic Washington, Loren Culp. Welcome, Loren. How are you?
Good. It's great to be with you.
Oh, great. Yeah, so look, according to the Seattle Police Officers Guild, who are organizing this rally on Sunday, up to 800 officers could lose their job, effectively cutting the police force in half. Does this, you are just as shocked as I am, but does this make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense unless you're a loony left thinking person. You know, instead of defunding the police, we need to defend the police. It's about 800,000 police officers all across this country that go about their job protecting your communities. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense to me. And like the reality of this is, you know, people always say, especially folks on the right who respect the Second Amendment, which we talked about in the last segment, which is, hey, you know, I have a gun, I'll defend myself. But I mean, let's be honest here. How often have you seen that play out in reality? And it's nothing pretty.
Right. No, it's not. I have actually seen it happen before in person. But there's no good that can come from increasing the police response time. It just increases crime. We have a criminal problem in this country and in Seattle.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is. The crazy thing to me is, look, I had 6 kids break into my house about 8 years ago, I think, and actually more than 10 years ago. And I still, in a state with castle doctrine, and I didn't kill anybody. I faced charges for reckless endangerment, for malicious wounding, for any number of things that they were trying to deter. But these kids broke into my house. Now, you can imagine a place, liberal Washington, where they're going to have people actually forced to potentially defend themselves. You're going to have case after case where these people are not going to know what to do, and you're forced to make the choice in the moment. Do I fire upon this person to protect my family? Or do I let them take whatever they want to do and do whatever they want to do and deal with the aftermath later? I mean, how do you justify that with someone?
Right. Yeah. Like I said before, it doesn't make any sense unless you're the loony left. You know, people defend themselves. They protect their family all the time with firearms. That's one of the reasons why our founders made it a constitutional right. And people have the right to defend themselves. And
yeah.
So they're wanting to defund the police and get rid of them, cut the force in half, and just let the criminals take over.
Yeah,
if you want to see how to ruin a state, all you have to do is look at what the government in Washington is doing.
Yes, rainbows and unicorns, I guess. But moving on to the protesters in Seattle have also recently filed a lawsuit against the city, arguing that their constitutional rights have been violated by the Seattle PD's use of chemical and non-lethal crowd control tactics. The lawsuit claims, quote, individual protesters subject to SPD's unabated and indiscriminate violence must now purchase cost-prohibitive gear to withstand munitions, even when, quote, peacefully protesting, as a condition to exercise their free speech and peaceable assembly. You know, this is also why they burned down the courthouses. But look, I mean, I got to get a permit for my Second Amendment right. So, you know, that's a cost prohibition. Should they go rally against that? No. What they do, I always say this time and time again. If you throw a Molotov cocktail at a cop and he shoots you in the neck with tear gas, that's not police brutality. That's effective policing.
Yeah, the police need to be able to use whatever force is necessary, you know, whenever they're facing a criminal or people doing criminal acts.
Yeah.
And the left politicians in Seattle called it the summer of love when the riots were going on. People were assaulted. People were raped. People were murdered in there. And they called it the summer of love.
Right.
For crying out loud. The police need to stop these riots. You know, the First Amendment allows us to have protests, right? We can speak our mind. We can go to church of our choice. We can peaceably assemble, but when it turns into a riot and you're throwing rocks and frozen water bottles at the police, don't be surprised if you have force used back against you.
Yeah, I mean, it makes, and you know, these people, the leftists are notorious for not reading the full amendment at which they're referring to exercise whatever freedoms. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging from the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and petition the government for a redress of grievances. Realistically, does this lawsuit have any chance of being taken seriously?
Well, unfortunately, with some liberal judges in the Seattle area, it probably has some legs, but it wouldn't stand scrutiny. I don't believe if it went all the way to the Supreme Court. But as governor, I will make sure that I appoint judges who understand their role and interpreting the Constitution, not making law from the bench. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is crazy, and you have a number of people, this is the time and time again, that they think that they can go out there, and Bill Barr came out and was talking about this, where he said, you know, you can't light courthouses on fire and still be considered peaceful. If you have 5 or 10 people in a crowd of 100 people, you have no choice but to consider that whole crowd hostile and disperse it and use appropriate policing. Am I wrong? No,
you're not wrong. That's what is required. Lawlessness cannot continue. If you enable bad behavior, you're going to get more bad behavior. If you allow lawlessness, you're going to get more lawlessness. We have a governor right now, Jay Inslee, who didn't even know that riots were happening, and he locked down churches, but left big box stores and abortion clinics open. You couldn't go into a gun store or a church, according to the governor that we currently have. And I'm planning on kicking him out of office with the voters of Washington State come November.
Good. We hope so. Loren Culp, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.